we're now finished with the sections of this tutorial that require Blender. So it's time to export what we've got and get it ready to upload into Mixamo and finally import into Unreal. So this means it's your last chance to make sure that everything on your model is as it should be and it looks how you want it to be. As once we get this out of Blender, we're pretty much stuck with the final result afterwards. So there's a couple of things that we need to do before exporting this. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to address the blocky nature of my model. So as it's a robot, I'd like it to be smooth. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. Thank you. We can right click and we can apply some smoothing. So the first one is shade smooth. It sometimes works for some models depending on what you're doing. For me, it doesn't look great. So the one I want to actually use is the auto smooth. So if I right click and do auto smooth, it smooths most of my model out. It looks nice and smooth. There's a couple of areas where a little bit finishing touches need to be made, but on the whole, it's pretty nice. So if you compare this to how it was originally, it's blocky. Obviously, you can see the polygons. It's that low poly style. Into if I right click and auto smooth, looks a lot nicer, a lot smoother. And this is how I really want to finish my model. So apply any smoothers that you may want. Potentially look at maybe fixing some of these areas. So I imagine if I move this vertex here, just to make it a little smoother, that may fix the issue. There we go. So I pull that in, you can see it's smoothed over a little bit. It's not perfect, you still see a little bit of bending, but it's not too bad. For now, for me, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm happy with that. I'm going to export it like this. You, however, may want to spend a little bit more time and just perfect any indiscrepancies that are in your model. Once you're there though, once you're ready, we need to get this to the correct scale. Now, press N for November on your keyboard, and it'll bring up the transform menu. If you look at the dimensions on the bottom right, make sure you clicked on your model. This is the current dimensions, the current size of your model. So, my model, if you look at this Z value, is 15.5 meters tall. That's obviously way too big. Now, I haven't worried about this up until now because it doesn't matter. As long as everything's to scale, we can reduce this and get it at an appropriate height. Now is that time. So in Unreal, I want this to be a standard character height. I want it to be the height of an average person. Now an average person is around about 1.85 meters. That's normally what I set my characters to, 1.85 meters. However, you can't just type in 1.85 meters in here because it does this. Now, I know I've said frequently throughout the series that your model should look however you want to make it. If you're looking at making a squash little robot like that, which does look quite cute actually, fair enough, you can leave it like that. However, I'm not. So what I'm going to do, and what I imagine most of you will need to do, I'm just going to go to the orthographic view. You don't need to do this, but I'd like to do it just so I can see what's going on. I'm just going to press S and scale it down. Now, if you pay attention to the values in the dimension section there, you can see they're going down. So I'm going to keep going until I hit around about, almost there. There are 1.84 meters, that'll do. Now look at the size of that. That's tiny compared to what it was, but obviously that's actually the correct height. So let's go in. I can keep zooming in. Here we go. This is my robot, who is now an appropriate height and is the correct height. Right, once you've got this to scale, or to the correct height I should say, we can then actually reset the scale, and that means that we are going to set it so this is a scale of 1. To do that nice and easy, click on your model, press Ctrl and A, and you'll see apply, and we can apply scale. You'll notice now in the section on the right, the scale is now set to 1, and the height is now correct. That's perfect, that's what I need. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that there's nothing left in my scene and the remaining objects are named appropriately. So if we look up here, I've got 2 hidden objects. I don't want to accidentally export these, so I'm going to get rid of them. You may have no objects up there. What these objects are these are the old characters that I had, just to show you the clothing. It's still there in the background. Which what we can do, if I enable that, you can see the size difference actually. So that's the original size of our character, and this is what we've reduced it to. It's quite a difference. So, I'm going to just delete that, and I'm going to delete those. So I've only got one object left, and that's my actual character. I'm going to rename that to body, and then I'm pretty much ready to go. So once you've done all those steps and you're ready, we can export. So to export, nice and easy, we're going to go to File, and we're going to go all the way down to the Export option here. Now there's a couple of options available to us. Unreal uses a very specific type of file for its 3D models, and that's FBXs. So we're going to want to go down, export, and we're going to use the FBX setting. So if we click on that, make sure you save this in a location which is appropriate, and we're going to name it. So I'm going to click on Mesh over this right side just to make sure that's only exporting this, and let's give it a name. I'm going to call him, I referred to him when I was talking about earlier, as Beeps, so I'm going to keep that name, Beeps. That's going to be my model, so Beeps, that's his name. Well, like I said, select Mesh over on this right hand side, and this isn't the only way you can do that. If you want, you can select objects and things like that, and there's not actually nothing else in my scene, so even if I didn't click that, I'd be fine, but I'm just going to click it out of habit. I'm going to keep these settings the same. Just make sure your scale is on 1. Make sure that apply units, not apply units, sorry, the forward is set to -Z forward, and make sure that up is set to Y up. I'm going to untick bake animations because there's nothing here. And once I'm ready, I'm just going to click export. And there we go. It's exported. Now if you want to go double check that, you can go over to the files that you've got. You can see that this is where I've just exported that to. And you can see that I've got this 3D object, this FBX file, which is called Beeps. If I open that up, then apparently I can't actually view FBXs on my PC. I don't know if that's a... No, I'm not going to click that. Normally, you can view those. I'm not sure why that's not working on my PC. But that's exported. That's done. So once you can see that you've got your 3D model exported here, and you're happy with how it looks, awesome. You're ready to move on to the next part of the tutorial series.